Good day, guys. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about, typically, and look how messy my office is. I do apologize. It's tidy up a bit. Okay. Today I want to talk to you guys about buying the dip that keeps on dipping. We've seen this many times, especially spot traders where they get in on a position. Let's use Solana as an example real quick. Okay, really good support area, buy the dip. But what if it fails? How do we then draw the line? Because it's simple. It's easy for me to say, yeah, it shouldn't go below that level, and then if it does, it's going to be bad. But the thing is, we all suffer from complacency. We all want to give it a little bit of time to see what happens. And then there's the alternative scenario. What if you bought right there, but your stop is living right there? At that stage with Solana, your drawdown is something like 10%. 10% is painful, guys. So we don't necessarily want to be holding on for 10. And then when we get there, we don't want to sell because, it's a lot of money. Let's maybe give it some time. Maybe it recovers. And that's the dip that everybody talks about, the dip that keeps on dipping and then wrecks you at the end of a cycle. So let's talk to that today. I want to apply time fib analysis on some of these coins and some of these levels, because although I'm expecting Bitcoin to go make a lower low, and I'm expecting Ethereum to retrace and go deeper into the pain zone before we get a bounce, it could mean that this is the beginning of something different. So yeah, let's get into this. So if you're new to the channel, say hi. And if you're a regular, say hi nevertheless. Good morning, guys. Thanks for taking the time joining me live as we go through the markets. So let's start off with Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin is the rising tide. When Bitcoin does well, everything else does well as well. Okay, we know this. And yesterday I talked you guys through a lot of reasons to be bullish. And I'm going to briefly just click on each one of them. We're looking at gold, and gold is breaking out of a bearish channel, breaking supply. It should come back down, build a base, and then go on a little bit higher. We were looking at silver. Silver had hidden bullish divergence, lower low on the RSI, higher low in price. Everything is what we wanted it to be. So the argument is we wanted silver to go and make a higher high. We had the Dixie, and I'm just going to switch this to a more realistic time frame. Yesterday, we were sitting right there at 100, rejecting at the resistance. We want this. Bitcoin and the Dixie is cross-correlated. The Dixie dumps, Bitcoin pumps. The Dixie pumps, Bitcoin dumps, So this is all nice tools that we could use to just kind of navigate the market. We were looking at the total 2 as well, and I explained to you guys that the alts potentially won't rally just yet, because we still need to make sure that this support that we've now broken through, because this was support, and when lost, it's now resistance, and now we've reclaimed it. So the argument is we could potentially go and make that lower low, create strong bullish divergence, and then only be off to the races, And this means that our alts will probably go make lower lows or double bottoms in most cases. And it begs the question, what if I'm wrong? What if it's the dip that keeps on dipping? What if we fall through these levels? So we need to have that basis covered, because bull markets, people in the previous bull market will tell that next bull market, I'm going to do things different and better. I'll take profit. I'll be more risk adverse. And there's always going to be that excuse. Next time I'll do it better. Let's rather just do it better now. That's the argument. And I can talk to you guys about this because I've experienced this, been through many cycles. I've lost my fair chunk of change over the years, and I've learned one thing to be true, to be exceptionally cautious when it comes to dips, buying them, and to be exceptionally cautious when it comes to tops, selling them, because in the end of the day, nothing in this world or in this crypto space is guaranteed. Bitcoin weekly is still in the sell zone. I'm still holding shorts, guys. It's simple as that. Okay, regardless of how I'm feeling. So if this tickles your fancy, Kilian, good morning. Superbike. Nice bike, man. If this tickles your fancy, you want to know a little bit more, you know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, share the content with a friend. And for those who want to have a little bit more action, guys, you know what to do. If you want to join the Discord, you want to be part of everybody in the Discord, all you need to do is open your Bybit account with my partner link. It will give you access to the Discord and the tools that I've built over the years that help people navigate this market. We'll dive into those tools a little bit later. Okay, so now Bitcoin analysis. Let's get into this. First things first for me. We were trending down, and the argument is we had a lot of supply sitting there. We had supply trend created there. We had demand, and the risk was that if we fall below the axis, it means that we're going to go test demand. And this is that dip scenario. So this was the buy the dip zone, and this is the dip that keeps on dipping. That's why I'm cautious. Now, why also am I worried, or why do I want to point this out to you guys further? You know, other than just saying, the analysis failed, we're just going to go a little bit lower and then we're going to be okay. The reason I'm doing this is the following. This is now resistance. So 117K is no longer your friend. There's going to be reluctance there, where at this stage it was a good deal for everybody. Okay, so now you know that whatever we're doing when we get to these levels, you need to worry a bit. Okay, now looking at 117K, why do I think that there's still a potential that it can go there if I'm saying the dip's going to dip on lower? Simple. This is a little contradiction, but your point and figure says that there's an imbalance waiting for us there. And we might be in the potential of filling this little imbalance in here, creating a little buy zone, then to try and get there. When we're there, whether we're going to go this or this is up for how the candles look. You know, what would be the most, plausible direction at that stage. But it's definitely something that you just need to keep in the back of your head. There's a gap there. There's a gap there. Price goes and fills these gaps. It doesn't leave them unfilled. Okay, when it does, normally that's really good buy zones. Also pointed out yesterday, hey, look at the funding rate. Leverage traders are tired and it's cheap to trade now. Okay, and that's typically signs of good bottoms when it's red, when the funding rate starts getting negative. So we do have a lot going for us. But the problem is that things can stay wrong for longer than we can stay solvent. Now, let's talk about this wrong. We've now lost our axis. This is the price point that we were negotiating around before we could make a higher high. And if we then switch to closing prices, you can clearly see that around these levels, and if we maybe make the screen bigger, take away the RSI so we can see everything nicely. If I move that, I don't want to move it like that. I want to move it like this, sorry. And I'll make the line, let's just make it a white line. You can see that we were bouncing around these levels, bouncing around these levels, bouncing around these levels. And every time we were trying to make a low, this was the area we were closing around. Okay, so this is technically a trend support. That's why I call it an axis or a supply line or array, because we're moving in a bearish trend at the moment on the 4-hour. And we're closing on lower lows. And where we were yesterday is exactly this. We were rejecting, and let's just move that line closer now. We were rejecting at the previous supply zone. We failed to make a higher high. That's bad. Okay, so let's switch on the candles again. Now, all of these lines should make a little bit more sense to you guys. Maybe what I need to do is just switch off the Elliott wave because it does still look a little cluttered for my liking. There we go. So we're rejecting at these levels. We're rejecting at supply, and we have not made a higher high just yet. So the dip that keeps on dipping, guys, is probably still in effect. Now, my next target, my next area for where I want to be bullish is going to be here at 110 thereabout. Between 111, 109, that is statistically where tops and bottoms occur. So what do I mean by this? If we look at any retracement, any move to the upside where there is strong bullish divergence, or strong bearish divergence. So how would that typically look? The RSI is doing the opposite of what price is doing. Price is making higher highs, RSI is making lower highs. The area of that rejection, okay, so we're looking at divergence. There's the first divergence. Okay, so the area of that rejection, we can play, I'm going to play them all through with you for you guys so you can really get this in. Okay, the area of rejection, let's just click on the FERP level and say strong divergence prediction, occurs in that range. Okay, there was divergence. Then what did we do? We made a lower low on a lower high. So now I can move that up, that point and that point. There you go. And it's once we cross the extreme, that's when we can say, okay, the idea that this was a top is no longer valid. The same then with this entire move. Okay, the entire move saying that, well, there's no divergence between these 2 points, but we're looking at this entire move. Okay, point, lower low, higher low. Going to do the exact same thing. Take it from the top to the bottom, see where the divergence occurs. Okay, now what did we do? We made a low, we made yet again a low. There was harmony there. At this stage, we were going higher high with higher high RSI. So there we had harmony again. No divergence around that point. So now you can see that when we try and time a bottom, strong bullish divergence takes effect. Now, what do we have here? We don't have a strong bullish divergence just yet. So we can't say that this move, this retrace is over. We can't say that the dip is over. And although we are bouncing on these demand and supply rays, time is your enemy now, friends. It's going against you. It's no longer bullish. Okay. So just be careful because Bitcoin could chop around this range for the next month or so. And this brings me to the cautionary side of things. And it means that Ethereum could then go to its support area, which is around $3,000. We saw Ethereum yesterday do what? It pumped like crazy, went up 6%. What did it give you? There's a high, there's a lower high. Hidden bearish divergence. There's a high, there's a higher high. Okay. This thing is now bearish. Just like we were saying the dominance were bearish. We had strong bearish divergence that broke the bull trend, made a lower low, and now we've got hidden bearish divergence suggesting that there's more to come. That's it. That's the message. I can't do anything other than say sorry. I mean, I'm really rooting for the market to rally at this stage and be uber bullish and start getting in. But unless we start changing this, that's the message for today, you know, and that's the caution that we have. Okay. The same was avoided, luckily, with total market 2. But if we start looking at total market 1, let's quickly have a look. I haven't looked at it today. Let's see. There it is. Hidden bearish divergence. Okay. We're in a bubble, friends. Okay. We're no longer in that situation where the move happens. And we could stay like this and chop around these levels and then go up. That's the optimistic me. But we have to be cautious on these things. Okay. So over to the alts and the coins that I shared with you guys, and the setups and the buy the dips that I shared, because we need to make some tough decisions, because this was, it's going to retrace, we can buy the dip. Yes, we knew there were certain levels, but at this stage, some of those coins went into those buy the dip zones. But now you've got Big Daddy Ethereum and Big Daddy Bitcoin that's saying, hey, it's not over. And that's the worry. So what was a good buy zone, like Solana, could potentially be a bad buy zone. Because what do we have for Solana? Let's just delete that line, that note. Okay. Hidden bearish divergence. So The risk that we run now is this was all planned for by the demand. It's simple. By the demand. This was the support range I gave you guys. It's all good. We're in profit. So we're allowed to question the market. I don't want to come and say, I think it's going to go down, but I gave you this as the buy zone. That's a dick move. Okay? We're in profit, but now it's time to question. Is this really going to play out in our favor? Okay, so that's a tough one. So good morning, Nikki. Good morning, Altec. Good morning, Dean. I wish that it was a more somber, a more prettier picture that I can say we can all just swing our heads and say it's going to go higher. But at this stage, this is the reality with all of these coins. Look at that. Look at that. So they're probably all going to go through, maybe not BNB. No, there it is. Hidden bearish divergence. Okay. They're all showing signs that there's maybe, look at Uni. Tried really hard to delete it, but it hasn't yet. We're in that retrace wave now. They're all going to probably try and test your patience and go to these lower levels. So what do I want to say to you guys on how we can navigate this? It's simple. We can use our time fib. And the levels we want to look at is 0, 1, and 1.5. And the reason I say this is because of the following Elliott wave rule. Elliott wave says the market moves in predominantly 3 directions. Goes up, goes down, goes sideways. And that's pretty much everybody else's take on it as well. But when it goes up and it's trending bullish, it does it in a typical 5-wave fashion. Now, there's certain rules. 4 can't go below 1 and those kind of things. But the overall justice, each and every one of these moves will be timed within the time fib. Meaning that the time it takes to make the high, typically that half that time it takes to make the retrace. So that's why your 3 to 4 is the most complex wave pattern to navigate. Because there's more time. It's been bullish for longer. Now it needs to retrace a little bit longer. And then obviously when you get to your 5th wave, you can see that this changes everything now drastically. Let's just go to a daily time frame. I'm running out of real estate here. Okay. And it changes everything drastically now because now there's so much more retracing that needs to happen. And this is typical your bear market structures. You know, it takes a lot of time. So all I'm trying to point out to you guys now is when we look at this move, where we're at now, and I'm not going to look at the small stuff. Let's look at this entire uni move and say, okay, right, bring in the RSI. Where were we bottoming? We were making a low there. We were making a double bottom with a higher low. So we can roughly say within these 2 parameters is where the bottom was according to the RSI. If we then use this to the top, we could potentially be in drawdown or grinding sideways up until September for uni. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, it could be for the whole of August still, which means for the alts, for those that are buying on spot, there's that potential that there could be another 20, 30% being taken out of your account. And somebody like me would say, but the market is still bullish. Yes, because it's technically still bullish. It's just not ready yet. It's just not the right dip yet. Okay. Now we can test this theory on many of these other impulses for that matter and say, okay, right. If we look at this entire move, okay, that's the area where the dip occurs. That's where divergence started happening. And you can see what happens. If this was bull market time, all of these lows, the argument would be they bullish, they bullish, they bullish. But now, oh shit, it's bad. And this is the problem. So now you bought these lows. Maybe you bought a little too early. You're down 20%. Now the market goes down another 40%. Now you're sitting down 70% in a market that's clearly bullish, but your account doesn't say the same thing as your sentiment you're sharing. So be careful of just that, guys. So try and time these bottoms. And yeah, maybe we were wrong. Maybe we were too bullish too soon with some of these setups. because we're sitting in a situation where clearly the market is saying to me, it's not there. Okay. Yes, Sonic. The argument was Sonic is bearish. It's trending down and I was hoping that it's going to bounce on support. This is the typical coin that can wreck you now. Because if we lose certain areas, Bitcoin bounces now, goes and rejects at those levels and goes, makes a lower low. Sonic at this stage now could potentially go there. And, you know, now you're looking at, yet again, another 60% discount. And if things goes down 60%, it can go down another 60% on what the value is there. This thing can hurt you all the way down to zero for that matter before the market turns around. So just be mindful of that. So I'm sorry that this is not the happy stream that we want. But in the end of the day, we just need to be mindful of these kind of things. Okay. That's everything for today, guys. So just be cautious. We've got Bitcoin that has given us some really good gains. So we can look at all the smaller waves and we can say, okay, right, let's be realistic on the bigger wave. We're potentially still going to be bearish until the end of August. Most of the coins are all throwing the same kind of timeline, end of August, beginning of September, where there's going to maybe be another last hurrah, okay? And the exact same then is then true for Ethereum. If you look at ETH then, take it from the bottom to the top. And let's say this is the top. This thing can chop around and messes around until maybe even in this case, September before it moves. Okay, so go and have a look at your bags. I cannot give you guys financial advice. I wish I could, but I'm not adapt to do that. You know, advice needs to come from somebody that knows what the future will bring. I don't. I take things level by level. And all I'm saying is, yes, we've reclaimed some support. We're bouncing in this area. But until we change this and make a higher high on these coins, okay, this is then for Ethereum. We can click on this for Solana, higher high for Solana. We can click on Cardano, higher high for Cardano. Simple. It's actually very simple. Until we make a higher high and delete this hidden bearish divergence that these coins are there. Don't let a winner, a clear winner that we're in at this stage, turn into 20 to 30% drawdown. Okay, that's the main thing. Don't let belief keep you in this gains that we clearly have at the moment and turn that into failure. Now, if you were one of the guys that said, well, I'm not going to sell the top because there's still maybe more coming, and I'm just going to wait through this drawdown and try and see if I can then write this thing up, and then I'll take profit somewhere in the future. And my average buying price is maybe sitting here. So for me, it's not financially profitable selling right now. You're the one that really needs to go have a hard talk with yourself and decide, where do you draw the line? Because I promise you, the longer you postpone the inevitable, the more painful your loss will be, until eventually something hits you so hard that you sell out of a pure panic just to feel better. And that's normally when people sell the bottom. So I just don't want anybody to do that. I've gone through that many times, burned my fingers around that many times. It's a shitty feeling. Okay, there you have it. Thanks, so guys. So yes, not lucky to you. I hate it. Sorry, I don't want to rain on your parade. I want this thing to pump. Okay, I'm rooting for your bags just as I'm rooting for my bags. Please go and get above that axis for Bitcoin on the 4 hour. Do that, and then I can celebrate. Even if we do this and we still have divergence, at least then we can give it the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, right, now the market's going to move. But it's too far from this. And alts, they're like small little leverage coins. They can wreck you if not done right. Okay. So Peter Woods, Chris, would you be actively selling holdings or just tighten up stops? Okay. One thing I don't do, Chris, and maybe this is an exceptionally good question. Okay. Let's look at a coin we haven't looked at yet today and use that. Let's use Hype, or maybe ENA, because ENA is one of our current holders. Okay, let's look at ENA. I'm gonna paint a scenario. So typically, we spend the most time here when it's an accumulation phase. Once we get trend within range, I start buying. So the argument is, would you just sell, like you say, would you actively be selling your holdings, or would you just tighten your stop? If I tighten my stop there, saying, well, I can't make a lower low, that stop is acting like a take profit. That's what people want. So if I'm wrong, it's taking profit. But typically what happens is it will bounce there and then go higher again. So now you're opening the door to a mind fuck. Sorry for the word, but it's the reality of it, okay? You're opening the door to that because now what's going to happen is this king can do this and this and this, or bounce around these levels. And every time you're going to question your stop, did I maybe move my stop up too tight? Did I do too much? Now you're in a situation where you don't know and you start feeling helpless. And that's when complacency kicks in, because then you become reckless. So what I never do is, when I have a good opportunity and I'm in a good position, I either take profit or I let the rest ride. I don't try and cover this with stops, because I know myself. I know the idiot in here is going to question each and every time it goes lower. And I'm going to say to myself, listen, maybe you were too greedy, buy back or something like that. And then, you know, as soon as I start negotiating with myself, I've never walked away from that negotiation with profit in hand. Okay. So I rather don't do it that way. Take profit when you see strength. That's all that we all signed up on this. We want to buy weakness, we want to buy low, and we want to sell high. We want to sell when there's strength. So it's simple, guys. Think of it like this. Look at what ENA is giving us now. It's giving you strong bullish bearish divergence. Okay. And it's saying to you, if we fall below these pivots, we can use that for that matter. There's your thou shall not cross line. It's telling me that this is all good and dandy. So what if I'm wrong? What if Bitcoin goes make a higher high and we pump? You know, I need to give this all momentum. Okay. It also tells me that if I want to buy or I want to get in, I need to buy good levels, not in the middle of nonsense, because then you're just opening the door for pain. Okay. And if we fall below this level, and I'm trapped in a situation where I am about to lose money, I can wait for the market to potentially rally closer to that line and offload my ass, because then the chances that this is going to go there diminishes greatly. And it's about risk. And then the last thing is, if I see strong bullish divergence like this, I can always take profit. That's the rule. Buy when it doubles your money, sell half. Be the guy that sells into strength, because then immediately your risk appetite and the way you're going to look at the retrace changes greatly. Okay, so don't try and cover it off with a stop. It doesn't work. I haven't managed to get it to work. If you do, if you have a strategy, let me know. But yeah, I just don't know. Okay, thanks so much for the kind comments. Yes, it's tough. Let's see what Altec has. I agree. It used to bounce to get out. Some high leverage long weight lifted off my shoulders. Yeah, and sometimes it does. I mean, I'm carrying shorts and longs here on a leverage side. I'm still in this long. This long. I'm not signed in there now, but I'm still in that long. Still carrying this long. I'm still in shorts from 106, because remember the weekly time frame is in a sell zone. So I started early. I said, well, once we're in this range, those shorts, the invalidation sitting at 130. So it's not like they're crazy big, but I'm still in that area because I don't know. That's the reality. I don't know. I want to buy the dip like anybody else, and I do buy the dip, but I just need to be sure that I don't end up holding the thing indefinitely. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. Maybe a cautionary tale of exactly just that is Celestia. Let's talk through Celestia real quick. I'm going to go weekly time frame. Celestia, everybody loved it. Everybody's best friend. Okay. And then here comes the dip. And there's the dip, and there is the problem. This is where we're at right now, my friends. I don't know whether we're going to go make a lower low or we're going to lock in support. But there's hidden bearish divergence. and it's playing out. And we bought lows there. But the argument is it could potentially test and you can walk away with nothing. Nobody's going to want to do that. So we're sitting somewhere here still. Bank some gains so that you have something to show for your time. And then if we're wrong, you can always buy back later on because now you're buying into momentum. You know, momentum's your friend. Don't fight it. Embrace it. There's no momentum right now. Because if it's wrong, then this is going to turn into some bearish momentum. And I'm promising you, the guys that's holding this now from $7 to $1, that's a shitty place to be. Okay. He's got nothing other than to just hold indefinitely because the money's gone already. It's wrecked. Don't let it be you. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. You know what to do. Support the content. Open your Bybit account. Transfer your KYC if you've already got an existing one. There's 3 or 4 guys already did that. And like I said, back the channel that backs your trades. You can use the buddy indicator to help you. Let's go weekly time frame. Let's switch off all the trades. It's going to hide all the trade setups. There's Celestia with the buddy indicator. Okay. Look at the color that it's overriding the candles. It's nothing bullish. It has 64 processes built into it to determine whether this thing is bullish or bearish and. It's not there. Okay. Switch this thing onto the daily time frame. Okay. Bullish up till there, bearish. And it switched bullish once for like 2 candles, 3 candles. And then it's bearish all again. And that's range chop, which is sometimes it gives you hope. Maybe this is going to go, and then it fails. And it's going to keep on doing this up to a point where it then will override the candles into a blue, and it will stay blue. And you can enjoy the ride, but it's not there yet. So this is a simple way just to kind of time and check where your coin is at. So let's say you're in, let's look for a coin name here. I don't do requests typically. Throw me a coin, NEWT. NEWT. Let's look at NEWT. I'm going to switch it on there. NEWT, for me, you know, guys know, it's not on the screen yet. I'm out. It's bare. It's a dead coin for me now, okay? So let's go daily time frame. According to the buddy, as long as we stay above it, it's a buy. Now, what was the argument for NEWT? Let's go 4-hour time frame. Where's all my notes gone? How would you guys believe whether I told you to sell? Why is there no notes? Nothing here. Sure. Okay. But in any case, let's quickly, I sold somewhere there. And I explained to you guys that the next buy will be there. Now we bounced on that area. What do we have at the moment? Going up. Look at the RSI. Okay. What needs to happen? Accumulation. Time. Before it goes. Okay. That's it. There you have it. Right. That's everything. 33 minutes. Thanks so much, guys. I'm going to be in the Discord. The flip side to this. Let's end up with a positive note. The flip side. Spot traders can make money if there's a bull market because you buy and the thing goes up. And as long as it goes up, you're golden. Okay. That's a nice journey to go through. But as soon as you become, and you take your craft a little bit further, you become a leverage trader, then you can make money on the way down. That's the only way. It's a skill worth learning. We're nearing the end of what I think is the bull market in any case. I've been taking shorts. I've been trading this thing bearish. I'm in 2 shorts at the moment. I'm, on my scalp side. And yeah, I'm betting the short I took this morning, I'm betting that this is going to happen. So I can still make money on the way down as well. It's a craft worth learning, and learning to trade leverage teaches you to take profit because you can't just hold the thing indefinitely, which then indirectly, when you get back to your spot, will get you, it will give you that underlying, or what's the word I'm looking for, almost like a sixth instinct to know that, hey, this is too good to be true. I need to get out. I need to sell. Okay, simple as that. Link, there's link again. Same thing. Buddy. That's why NEWT's notes are gone. I'm on the buddy indicator. There we go. There's the NEWT notes. There we go. 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 There's all the evidence. Okay. So it's exactly just that. It teaches you, it gives you that instinct to take profit. Okay. What do we say? Load wick there, then it's going to come right back down. So there's other coins that I think it's going to do exactly the same. Hyperliquid. Let's maybe look at that. It's now lost the support, went to that load wick, that launch wick, launch wick. Okay. So where does this thing still need to go? It still needs to go back down there as well. Then we can try and add new risk to this thing. Okay. That's it. Thanks so much, guys. 35 minutes in, 200 people. I've got a couple of likes. I do appreciate that. And see you guys soon. Cheers.